start our agencies to create time and financial freedom, but sometimes our businesses have other plans and it feels like it can have a mind of its own. What starts off as an exciting journey into building the business of our dreams can turn into a business that traps us instead. Working all hours of the day and night, giving up on our social lives, putting work ahead of family, putting clients' needs ahead of our own health. Now, I've developed plenty of bad patterns and habits in my agency, only to realize after the fact that it wasn't that the agency was bad, but that I allowed the agency to devolve into a soul-sucking job. So how do you get out of it? How do you get your nights and weekends back? How do you reclaim your agency and get back on the path to having all that you want? One word: boundaries. The reason you're working too much, the reason you've let your business overtake your social and family life is the lack of boundaries. It's kind of like your agency has turned into a 3-year-old toddler that doesn't understand that it's not polite to stick their hands in other people's food. Now, you don't get mad, you just let the boundary get crossed, and you know that someday your tot's gonna grow up into a person with manners, right? But when will your agency grow into a person with manners? Well, it's when you demand it. Now, here are 4 easy tips that you can use in your agency today to start setting proper boundaries and put yourself on the path towards a better work-life balance. Keep office hours. Every business in the world sets their hours. Now, even Walmart, who operates 24/7, publishes their hours, but do you keep and publish yours? When you do this, it's much easier to communicate that to clients and to be clear about when you're available and when you're not. If you leave this up to chance, you're only inviting the opportunity for clients to take advantage of your flexibility. Will clients try and push the boundaries and try and reach you off hours? Sure, does happen. But when you're clear about your working hours, it's far easier to set your clients' expectations and to get them in line with the kind of business you want to run. Turn notifications off. Alerts for emails, SMS, direct messages are useful for one thing only: to distract you from whatever it was you were working on before. Being in the habit of keeping these notifications off and instead being intentional about when you check messages will help you so much. Now, it's not just about notifications that distract you during your workday, it's also about reclaiming your nights and weekends so that you're not constantly being pulled back into work when you should be enjoying the rest of your life. Don't be that guy that's glued to your phone just because the notifications keep pulling you back in. Break the habit. Work will be waiting for you in the morning. Get an office business line. Giving your clients your cell phone number can seem like the right thing to do. After all, you want to provide great service and be available to them whenever they need it, but this is a slippery slope. Get a dedicated business phone number for your clients to call and redirect it to voicemail or answering services after hours. Now, answering services are pretty inexpensive, especially for businesses with a low volume of calls. And you can train the person who answers to direct messages to you under certain circumstances. Set the right expectations with your clients, aka be kind to yourself. What expectations do you set with clients about when you'll respond to them or when you'll get something done? If a client called you today and asked for a website update, do you make a commitment that's sooner than it needs to be? Yes, there are some times when clients need work done fast, but I found more often than not, the turnaround time that I was committing to was much faster than it needed to be, only because I wanted to provide what I thought was the best service possible. Now, it's easy to set ourselves up for failure or put ourselves under a lot of pressure when we make commitments to clients. So you need to decide what your minimum turnaround time is for any of the work that you do. And don't unnecessarily create expectations that are hard to live up to. In other words, be kind to yourself. Now, here's a bonus tip. Understand that your clients are hiring your company and not you. Lots of people who own agencies mistakenly believe that the client is hiring them for their personal skills and their knowledge and not hiring the company. Now, this can be easy to believe if you're an agency of one. The sooner you adopt the attitude that the client is hiring your company versus you, the easier it becomes to design your agency in a way that you can leverage a team to provide the best services to your clients. Ultimately, your clients are hiring your company for the results you can provide, whether you're a team of one or not. Whether that comes as a result of your talent or the talent of a team that you assemble doesn't really matter. When you have a business that is hired for the team's capability versus your own, that's when you'll have ultimate freedom from working inside your business. When you don't set proper boundaries inside your agency, you end up creating a business where every client has the possibility to morph into the worst possible boss you've ever had. Except for you don't just have one boss, you have many of them. It can be easy to bring habits and expectations from places you used to work. When you own an agency, when you own your business, you get to decide how things work. So will you own an agency that respects your time and has manners? Or is it going to be one of those mannerless toddlers? The choice is yours. You have to set the boundaries, or your clients will do it for you. What should you do if you've lost momentum in your agency? It can come like a smack to the face or a gradual slowing down, but either way, lack of momentum in your business doesn't feel good. In the months after starting my agency, we entered summertime in Tucson, Arizona. You see, just a few months earlier, I'd started attending my first Chamber of Commerce meetings. I was totally scared to go to these meetings and I had no idea what I was doing, but I managed to pull a few client website projects out of it. So I was super pumped about that. So I was eager, though still nervous, to attend the next networking event. So June rolls around and I don't see the next date published for the next event. So confused, I pick up the phone and I call the chamber to ask about it. The chamber director answers my call, and to my surprise, he says, "Oh, well, we're not having our next meeting until September. It's too hot in the summer and business slows down around here, so we'll pick back up after summertime." What? It was my understanding that the chamber's job was to promote business, especially when things were slow. So this made zero sense to me and ultimately led me to dropping out of that chamber to pursue other associations that understood this basic principle. With no projects in sight and suddenly no plan to get more, momentum grinded to a halt. I've had tons of experiences like these where momentum changed, slowed, or stopped in my business. For many years, I was surprised by each time it happened and dreaded that feeling. But over time, I've come to learn some important things that I could do when I was feeling this way. So I want to share with you how to reclaim momentum in your agency. Number one, recognize this is temporary. Acknowledge that you've had setbacks in the past that you've already overcome. So I find it helpful to make a list of the setbacks that I'm now grateful for having gone through and see what lessons that you can learn from it. Number two, change your environment. Clean up your office, your desk, organize. This can be done digitally as well as inside your desktop or email. Consider working from a different place, maybe a coffee shop, a client's office, or co-working space. Number three, tell someone about it. Even if you don't think they'll understand, listen to the advice, support, or suggestions they might have with an open mind. Number four, decide what you should get off your plate. Make room for new activities. Maybe there are things that you can stop doing or projects that you can just end. Number five, get some rest and take a break. Get sleep, move your body, give your brain some time to find the solution to the thing that you're struggling with. I find that for me, that doesn't usually come from sitting in front of the computer or flicking at my phone screen. Number six, act. Get to work and chase whatever idea or direction feels most exciting, even just a little bit. If you can, try to be laser focused and see one thing through to completion. The loss of momentum can come in all shapes and sizes: financial, emotional, ability to focus, indecision, apathy, and even spiritual. You will reclaim your momentum, and I hope these tips get you there just a little bit faster. Have you had those clients? Have you had those prospects that you just don't seem to gel with, that no matter what you do, they seem to not connect? You have frustrating communications with them. People you're trying to sell, you're just not gelling with when you're actually presenting or proposing to them. Well, I want to give you a tip in this video that's all about just one simple shift that you can make in your approach that makes those things way easier. So if you're not gelling and not connecting with the client, I want you to understand that the reason why is that there is a gap in the trust that they have with you and you have with them. The way that trust is built is a very simple equation. It's sincerity. It's like, do I like this person? Are they a good person I want to be around? Plus competency. Like, does this person know what they're talking about? Do they have the experience I want them to have to know that they can do the job? Those two things have to be present in order for trust to exist. And if it doesn't, trust doesn't exist. The thing is that the order in which someone builds trust is different with every person. Some people need to know that you're a good person. They need sincerity first, And then once they've checked that box, then they'll check to see if you're competent. Other people want to know that you are competent first, that you can do the job before they even care about how good of a person that you are. So I'll bet that you already have a sense of whether you build trust with sincerity first or competency first. And the person that you're working with, if you're having any disagreement or any kind of lack of gelling with that person, then it's likely that they build trust in a different order than you. I'm sincerity based and you might be competency based. And so if I walk into a meeting talking about the weather, talking about how things are going, well, that might be something that's triggering to you as a competency based person who wants to know that, well, gosh, Mike, do you know what you're talking about? So the next time you are working with someone and it just doesn't seem to gel, it doesn't seem to make any sense as to why you're not really getting along with them, think about it. Are they a competency first person or a sincerity first person? Then just change your approach and you'll see how much easier that relationship gets. So I just finished this book. It's Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. If you haven't read it yet, the main premise is that the challenges that appear in our life are actually the fuel that we need to turn adversity into success. Now, I've seen this happen and play out in my life a lot. And this is the stuff where in the moment when the challenge happens, when you're faced with frustration and things aren't going right, it can be hard to entertain the idea that the challenge that you're facing is actually exactly what you need to create change. It's things like, you broke up with that girl and you met the love of your life because of it. Or, that one summer you broke your leg and you couldn't go swimming, and that's the summer you discovered writing and your love and passion for it. In my agency, I can point to specific events where, 90% of my production staff went up and started to create another web design company under my nose from my own office that I had to fire. And that led to a lot of changes in how I run my business, how I hire people, how I support them, and ultimately made a major influence on who I am today. And so these things, these challenges in the moment can be super tough to acknowledge as being the thing that we actually need. One of the things that Ryan says in the book, and I love this, is, the humans have been turning into sugar for a long time. And that's something where, we can turn the challenges in our life into some of the sweetest things that even exist. So if you're having a challenge right now, if you woke up this morning and there's something that's stressing you out, if there's something that you want to make a change in your life, consider that, look at all the ways and reasons why that thing actually might be leading you to your ultimate success. I'm a firm believer that the universe is always conspiring for our success. We just have to know where to look and how to treat ourselves so that way we can find it and have the peace to be able to connect with ultimately what's out there for us.